Hello and welcome to NAB, where we're really breaking down what's been going on inside the tech and how AI, storage, and cloud are really influencing what's going on here. Once again, joined by Frederic Van Haren, who's the CTO and founder of HighFens. I'm Rob Strechay. Glad to be with you guys.
Yeah, same here. Another week, another conference, I guess, right? About AI.
We can't get away from it. I think that when we start to look at what's going on in AI and what is transforming, I mean, this week has really been incredible with people talking about how they're going to be using their data more, how they're really using inference as the long tail for this, how that's actually bringing new competitors into this space for MAM and PAM. And it's been crazy. What have you seen? Because you've come for a few years now.
Right. I mean, definitely a few things. I think the AI is definitely entering the audio and video market. I read somewhere that this year there were twice as many AI exhibitors as last year. And the other thing, which was new this year, is they actually have an AI pavilion. So clearly a heavy focus on AI. Changes with the last couple of years is that definitely AI, as I mentioned, but we also see less and less traditional hardware vendors. And I think that has to do with the fact that the people who provide AI solutions include all of that hardware, as opposed to in the past, that hardware was purchased separately.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think there's a lot about the solutioning of AI versus the buying of gear and then building your own. There is still a lot of open source here, a lot of people knitting things together, and a lot of new services, a lot of SaaS services being here. What else did you see when I went through some of the large traditional media and entertainment vendors, and they all had AI in their offerings that they've been selling for quite a bit of time now. What were you seeing as you went through some of even the traditional ones?
Yeah, I think definitely one thing I see is that they're trying to make AI very consumable. So people don't really realize it's AI, it's more magic, so to speak. And I see a lot of vendors, for better or worse, kind of uplifting the AI features because a lot of organizations now have this feature list of AI. So it's an interesting shift. For me, as a technology person, I find it's more difficult to understand what the product really does, because when you ask questions, the answer is always, it's more AI. It's what does that really mean, right? But I guess the biggest issue, or the biggest point, or positive point, is that it's more consumable. It's not, you don't need a PhD anymore to handle a AI, so to speak.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think, again, having it built into workflows, I mean, a lot of the people in the media industry have built these workflows over years, and how they can actually take those workflows, which is process, and make them more agentic. And we were seeing that in some of the major vendors, as well as in some of the smaller vendors that were out there, that they were bringing agentic, or saying agentic at least. In some of them you could question, was it really agentic, or was it just an LLM behind the scenes? And are they connecting in through an API, or are they actually building some tech in there? And I think that'll shake out, like every industry is going through, of what is really agentic versus what's not agentic.
Right, I think it's a very important point, right? When we talk about agentic AI and MCP, it's really not only about sharing agents, but it's also the ability to share data, right? I mean, you collect your data on one site, one source, but you want to use it in a different way. And in the past, there was the data gravity problem, which still exists, by the way, but now with AI and MCP and agentic AI, there's let's say, a workflow, a more interesting workflow that is well understood. And I think that's also a positive, right? You go from 4K to 5K to 6K. I mean, it's just more data, right? It doesn't get easier.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point, because I think one of the big things that's been going on that I've been seeing here as well has been cost. Cost is just skyrocketing on the cost of hard drives, as from flash perspective, or NVMe and memory. I mean, to me, that was a big push for the vendors that are here. You had the guys selling tape here that were saying, hey, this is how you get go-fast tape as object storage, or as file storage. I mean, that was one of the big takeaways that I had, is that the ones that were here really, it was not just a balance, it was price performance is the balance they're trying to strike.
Right, and you don't have to choose anymore between object and file and public cloud. I mean, the workflows kind of help you out, and a lot of them kind of do a lot of the things in the background. You just pay your monthly fee based on your usage, and all of that is taken care of you, which is a big deal, considering in the past it was all on yourself, all on you, and you had to have your data management people kind of doing all the work in the background.
Yeah, and especially for those who are really focused on being able to get through that entire process and be able to process the media and be part of that production flow and be able to share it with some of their third-party vendors that they're doing distribution for them and things of that nature. It definitely was a big thing.
I guess sharing is caring, right?
Yes,
I mean, it's all about the data in the end, right? But you need workflows and products that help you do all of this. A lot of people that use AI don't necessarily understand AI, and I think it's okay. You know, it's the same thing like with driving a car, right? A lot of people who drive a car don't necessarily understand what the engine is under the hood. It would be nice to know. You know, it might improve maybe a little bit a few things and how you can solve your own problems. But in the end, it's about consuming it in a way that is easy to understand, where you can do your work at a hopefully predictable cost.
Yeah, I think that is such a great thing, a hopefully predictable cost. And I know all of the major cloud vendors are here, all of the traditional vendors for the M&E market are here. One of the things I think we were surprised about was, like you said earlier, who was not here.
Right.
And it was a lot of the on-premise folks, some of the cloud-based folks as well who are not here. I think that, again, it's, you know, budgets and everything else, and there's so many, what is there, like 4 different conferences going on in Vegas this week? So
yes.
There's a lot going on here, and a lot going to continue to go on. I think, you know, looking out towards next year, it'll be interesting to see how big the AI pavilion is. And they had an entire AI track. NAB did a really good job of pulling this together and understanding how AI was really infiltrating all of the different pieces to give everybody an opportunity, traditional vendors as well as the new tech vendors that are coming in. I think what will be interesting is that there was some of the large model providers had taken over some of the billboards around on different hotels, even though they're not here exhibiting. So I think that is really telling about what's going on in this market and how much there is to do.
I think so too. I think the way it's going so quickly in this market, I believe that next year maybe the conversation is not going to be about AI, but which company is here who's not doing AI, right? I mean, maybe call it AI Insight or some other marketing terminology, but I believe it's just the trend is AI.
Yeah, but I think, again, when the people who are here, who have the production, I was talking to a few people who were end users of the tech, and one of the interesting things was how they didn't want to get out of their workflow, how it had to be able to plug in and be transparent. And to your earlier point, I think it's that you don't need to know what the engine is doing or what type of engine. Does it get me from point A to point B in a faster manner, safer manner, more efficient manner? I think that's a lot of what is coming to the M&E market and what is being brought in. NAB is sponsoring things around Agentic with the different organizations that they're bringing to bear here as well, and getting sponsors from all over the tech community to go and do that as well. So, lots of fun, to put it mildly.
Agreed. It's an interesting show to see how AI is penetrating the audio and video market. I mean, all markets, right? But since we're here at the audio and video conference, this is really learn as we go.
Absolutely. Any last thoughts for the fans here?
Well, I would say see you next year and hope for more AI.
Yeah. Well, thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more. We'll be back.